Transparency, they say, is needed to create trust, as well as it is also needed to create dialogue. Greetings to you, dear TV friend, and welcome to another edition of Women's Voice on Divine Mercy Radio Television. Women's Voice is a program that comes up every Thursdays at exactly 5 p.m. on Divine Mercy Radio Television, where we discuss issues about gender, we promote good practice, we raise awareness about issues which are quite which we think are necessary, and also promote those who are actually practiced in a proper manner. We discuss issues related to women, but are not just limited to women. Reasons why we always encourage our viewers to stay glued to their screens and engage in our conversations as we discuss for the growth and development of society. On today's edition of the program, dear TV friend, we are within the context of the holidays, as children must have resumed or are retired from school, and a good number of them will be visiting parents or relatives. So we're going to, our focus of today will be looking at engaging sensitive conversation with teenage girls and adolescents, things to look out for. We know this is a period where children will be spending more time than they used to before with their parents, and because of it, some topics, it's quite necessary that we have these conversations with these teenagers and adolescents. So we want to discuss what are some of the fears which parents have, what are some of the difficulties which these children go through, and how do you even engage these children in the conversation. So do not move a muscle, dear TV friend. Immediately after this short transition, I'll be introducing to you the guest with whom we'll be discussing on today's edition of the program. You're welcome back, dear TV friend. If you're just tuning in, you're on to Women's Voice. And like I did say before we had that break, we are on to Women's Voice. And today we're looking at engaging sensitive conversation with teenage girls and adolescents, things to look out for. I am going to start by my far left. It is a familiar face here on Women's Voice. Greetings to you, Mabel Etonge, and thank you for joining us. She is a counselor and a parent whom you've been having a familiar face here on Women's Voice. Welcome, and thank you again for squeezing out time your busy schedule to join this conversation.
Thank you, Joy. It's always a pleasure being here to talk to wonderful people like you. So I'm happy also to be here.
All right, it's a pleasure having you here, given that you spend most of your time in school and out of school talking with teenagers. So we're hoping to gain experience on how best, we are hoping that at the end of this program, parents will be able to see, maybe have answers to their fears, and also guide on how best to engage their children in this conversation. Now, continue to, it's a familiar face. We always say Women's Voice is for women, it's about women, but not just for women. Reasons why we always have a male joining us on our conversation to give us another perspective, or to get into the heads of some men and understand how they think, and also see how we can better share and exchange our thoughts and actually achieve a common goal. Greetings to you, Otop Joseph, and thank you for joining us.
Greetings to you, Joyce, and I'm happy being here to discuss about this sensitive topic.
All right, it's a pleasure to have you on set, and for the very first time we are having Mrs. Asaha Rita, who is a parent who is joining us into this conversations. Greetings to you, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Joy, for giving me this opportunity to be here today.
It is a pleasure. So these are the people with whom we'll be discussing today's topic. And like I did mention earlier on, we are inspired by the fact that this is a holiday period, and it is important for parents and their adolescents at home to have these conversations. And it is only parents who can speak to their children and also get to understand the fears of their children. We have the topic on your screen. You can join the conversation via SMS or WhatsApp on the numbers which you find on your screen. To begin begin with, when we're talking about engaging on sensitive conversations, first of all, we know that conversation is an exchange of ideas where two persons are ready to learn, be it the person who initiates the conversation or the person who is listening. And it's not a monologue. It's not like I'll come and sit here and just wash up everything. It's an exchange of words, emotions, and feelings between two parties. Now, I want the panelists to let us begin here. What are some of these topics which are perceived as being sensitive before we get into how can we handle these topics, or how do we engage teenagers in these conversations? What generally are some of these topics which we think or have identified as being sensitive, which parents sometimes shy away because of the sensitive nature, or maybe cause them to, some people look as taboo? So I'll begin with either of you who is inspired to maybe let us start by these identifying these topics and seeing how we can encourage parents and also guardians on how they can engage their teenagers on these topics.
All right, I will begin. I think one of the topics in which parents, or some of the topics in which parents shy away from discussing with their children, the first one is, all of us know this one, sex education. Parents find it very difficult to teach their children and tell them one or two things that concern sex education. And also parents do find it, like I said, difficult to tell them about watching blue films. And the repercussions it comes with in a long run. They fail to teach their children on the repercussions of watching blue films. And also, this is a little bit mild, but then again, they find it difficult to talk about their present financial situation to their children, maybe because of not wanting them to feel inferior in between their peers, or inferior in the society or where they live in. So I think these are like some of the topics parents shy away from discussing with their children.
All right, thank you very much, Otop. One is about the sex education. Two is about discouraging them or telling them the consequences of watching blue films. And thirdly, parents revealing their financial situation to their children, especially when they are not really up to date. Okay, I'll give the floor to you, Mrs. Rita, to give us, as a parent, what are some of those topics which you see, might not necessarily be you, other parents feel it's sensitive, or they find it difficult discussing with their children?
Thank you, Joy. I think another topic can be relationship. Parents feel very, very uncomfortable to talk to their children about their relationship with boys, especially the girl child who is already at the age where you realize that at this age the child can put on or move on with a boy. The parent will find it very difficult to start telling the repercussion, or to instead they'll be like shouting or telling you that the boy may not be in a good partner, or that, without really explaining to the girl exactly what is the impact or the consequence of moving with a male friend. So parents always shy to guide their children to like choose a partner, or to talk to them about relationship and love issue. So it's always difficult for the girl to move on or to know where they stand.
All right, thank you very much. Discussing about relationship, especially when it comes to the opposite sex, parents find it difficult to engage in such topics. To you, Mabel, what other topics do you think are perceived sensitive, or parents shy away to discuss, which we find very important for them to discuss with their children?
Okay. In addition to all what I've been said, I think sexual reproductive health is also very important, and most parents shy away from this. I'm talking about let the child know it's part of sex education and more to it. Maybe we could be adding like the other day we were talking about menstrual hygiene. Yes, it falls with sexual reproductive health, and it's so important. Most parents, for all other reasons, they don't find it easy discussing this with their teenage girls. In addition to all what, and even issues of dating, like Rita said, most often you find parents shouting and beating, but when it comes to conversation, as you define it, that exchange of words and understanding, aim at understanding each other, most parents don't do that with their children when it comes to talking about dating, love issues, relationship issues, and generally sex education and the rest.
All right, interestingly, dear TV friend, if you're just tuning in, you're on to Women's Voice, and you can add your list via SMS or WhatsApp to the things which you think parents feel shy talking about. So we've all agreed here that a majority of them centers around sex education and relationships with the opposite sex, and also their maybe menstrual hygiene or their hygiene as a whole, then relationships, be it with the opposite sex or other relatives. And one thing which is quite intriguing is also the financial situation of the parents to their children. Now, Otto, I'm going to begin with you. Why do you think it is important for a parent to discuss his or her financial situation with their children, and what do you also think are the dangers of not doing so within the context of our conversation?
All right, thank you very much for that question. I think it's very important for a parent to discuss on their financial situation with their children. At this point, looking at our contemporary society, children want more than what their parents can offer to them at that point. So if you sit your child down and say, this is how, or this is my salary, this is how I'm being paid, or this is our financial situation at the moment at home, then I make the child to understand that it would not be like this forever, things might be different in the future, then I think it will go a long way. Because if you don't discuss that with your child, he or she will be asking of things that he or she does not even need because of that complex he or she has with maybe a classmate or a fellow student at school, and will try to go extra miles to get it and be thinking that my father has this money, my mother has this money, but doesn't want to give me. And you lead your child outside to go on a different way, or to look for different means in a way to get maybe that dress or that shoe just to match up with that friend, just to because of that inferiority complex. So parents are encouraged to sit their child down and say, this is my financial situation. I might not be able to provide this for you this month, but be rest assured that next month I will provide it for you, because at this moment I do not have money, and I have maybe your other siblings to take care of, I have your mother to take care of, I have extended families to take care of. And the dangers of not discussing your financial situations with your child, like I said, it gives them that opportunity or that mindset that my father has this money, my mother has this money, but doesn't want to give me. And at the end of the day, maybe he or she might go out, do all sorts of things to have money in order to get what he or she want, and also to make your child to be a chronic borrower. Yes, if you don't discuss that, if you don't discuss your financial situation with your child, or if you discuss your financial situation with your child, I don't think he or she will go out to maybe lend money from someone or lend money from this person. Today your child is borrowing money for this, tomorrow your child is borrowing money for this from this person, and all of that. At the end of the day, it will be detrimental to your child's future, because he or she would not know the pain a parent go through in order to provide for the child, and knowing the situation of not having money and having money at a particular time in the family. So I think these are some of the few dangers of parents not discussing the financial situation with their children.
Thank you very much, Author Joseph. And I want to discuss, find out from your perspective as a counselor and as a parent, Mabel, what do you think about this particular topic? Because I think it is something which I hardly see parent or head of parents sitting down the children to talk about their finances, whether when they have it or they don't have it. What do you think about parents discussing their financial situation with these teenagers or adolescents?
Okay, Joy, thank you. I think, like Otto said, it is very important to do this. I know in our context, it really doesn't, many people don't apply it, but it's necessary we consider engaging in such conversations. This also helps the child to understand that, okay, money is not as sacred as I think. It means I can talk about money, and so that the child will not be carried away when a guy out there wants to start dealing with them. Oh, I have this number of hundreds of thousands, I have these millions here and there. I've equally seen cases where the child has been to the embassy and could not declare the financial, I don't know how they call it, the financial statement of the parent, and lost an opportunity to go abroad for studies because of that. And then the father was so angry, and then the mother is like, but I've asked you to tell them this thing. You have money. You don't want the child to know because you feel that. And so there was a lot of tension and conflicts. So I think that opportunity the child lost because the child wasn't informed, was not aware of it. And the world out there, it get as to be a little different from us. So it's important we consider doing that. Equally, growing up, this helped me to gain financial management skills. Knowing my mother's financial state helped me, especially during holidays like this. I will not forget, every June, immediately we come back from school in May, ending towards June, okay, she will say September will surely come. This statement is obvious in her head every day until I know it today. My children know about it. September will surely come. So when you make the market list and bring, you can put chicken. Today we'll grill chicken, we'll eat this one tomorrow, we'll do this. She doesn't argue. September will surely come. Can you make your September list? And then when we are doing this, multiply this by the number of days people have for holidays. Subtract it and see how much we must have used for feeding during these holidays, and then just estimate how much I earn, or this is how much I earn, and we have reduced this. What are we going to use for September? How much is your list for September? This already started building some sort of consciousness in all of us, and without grumbling, without murmuring, we were very satisfied with what we see on the table. In fact, we are the ones to propose, hey, there's beans in the storeroom, there is corn here, let's make conchaf. There is this one, and you see that large appetite for other things. We had to kill it down consciously and unconsciously, because knowing that, okay, September will surely come and we will not want to push mommy more than what she can afford. This is it. It helped me till date. I'm so conscious of obvious things that need to be spent, and I'm so conscious of it, and I think my children need to know, and they will always know. You see, they will say, it's better you keep that money and let's pay our fees in August than do this. But it doesn't mean that they don't have leisure. There's time for leisure, but it moderates and it helps them build financial skills.
That is quite interesting, and taking us a step really further, where that's an approach which parents could, maybe we'll come back to it when we're talking about recommendations, because it's quite laudable. And I want to think that we now see the importance of discussing about our financial situation with teenagers and adolescents, because it does not only help them to understand, but also give them skills on financial management, and why not prioritizing their needs over their desires or what they seek to attain. Now, I want us to take up this conversation. We have identified the different topics where parents find it difficult, or maybe parents which are perceived as being difficult. Now, I want us to discuss why is it that, what makes it difficult for some of these parents to engage in these topics? What are some of the difficulties before we go into other aspects? What are some of the reasons which parents advance, or what are some things that restrain parents from talking about their financial situation, or reproductive health rights, or sex education, or relationships with the opposite sex? What is stopping parents? What prevents parents from having these conversations with their children? Maybe I'll begin with you, Mrs. Rita. As a parent, or maybe those you have exchanged with, what are some of the reasons they advance, or you see as being the reason as to why they cannot engage in such conversations with their children?
Thank you, Ms. Joy. As a parent, I think I have two things in mind for now. Okay. One is that we don't have the experience. Yeah, as a parent, there are some of us who don't have the experience or the confidence to sit our children down and talk to them about this sexual relationship or anything concerning their well-being, once it has to do with their relationship, has to do with, it is very difficult for a mother to sit down and start talking to the daughter about sexual relationship, about yourself, how you look like, how you are beautiful. It's very, very difficult for a mother to start doing that, especially for us Africans. It's very, very difficult. It seems as if you are now exposing the child to a different world. But to us, we look at it like a taboo for us to sit down and start talking such a thing. So the experience to start for us to start putting the child down to start talking such words or such a topic, it is very, very difficult. Then another thing too is that we lack the knowledge, and we don't have that confidence. We don't have that confidence. Or some of us may have involved ourselves in a rape issue. So we find it very difficult to start bringing out such topic to discuss with our children. It is very, very difficult. Each time you remember yourself, or you start bringing out a topic like that, you feel very embarrassing, or you feel traumatized, you feel disturbed. So it is such a problem where I think even the mothers too, they really need to go through some sort of education to see how we can start training ourselves to talk to our children, because it's difficult for us, the parent. Thank you.
Definitely, and that is one of the ways which we are doing here at DMR TV to discuss. I hope at the end of this program we'll be able to share with parents how they can engage in some of these conversations. Like one of, just to summarize what you mentioned, one of the reasons why parents shy away or are scared is because one, they lack the experience, and possibly two, in cases where they might have been victims of some sort of traumatic events like rape, they actually are not yet courageous enough to be able to face these consequences. I think it still goes down back to education. It must not be formal education, but I think that it's about knowledge and education, which parents need to be groomed on the importance of these different topics. I'll go with you, Mabel or Joseph. You tell us what are some of the reasons why parents find it difficult having these conversations with their children.
All right, just to add to what Madam Rita said, our parents of today, they don't have the knowledge as concerns maybe discussing some of these sensitive issues with their children. You cannot teach someone something you don't know. Like Song said, you can also, if you talk to where you don't know. So it's very important to have that knowledge or that background information and knowledge about some of these sensitive topics, so that if you want to discuss it with your children, then you will know the proper way you can discuss it with them. Another reason is lack of communication skills. There are some parents who don't have that communication skills, or don't have that, how can I say it, let me just say that talent to discuss with their children, maybe because while they were growing up, they never noticed it, or they never saw their parents teaching them or communicating with them or bringing them together, that come, let us sit for an hour and discuss about one or two things and all of that. So even if you you never saw that while growing up, considering that we are in the 21st century and the world is becoming digitalized and everything is just out there in the net, it's very important as a parent to bring your children. It can be for 30 minutes or 1 hour. You sit them down,
or even less,
yes. You sit them down and you encourage them, and you discuss with them, you educate them about some of these sensitive issues. Another thing to parents feel discouraged in sharing some of these sensitive issues with their children is age. They say this, you are too young to know this, or you are too old to do this, or whatsoever. Considering now, no child is too young for you to teach him or her about sexual education. While growing up, my mother was always teaching us about sexual education. No matter your age, she says it out as it is, without trying to mince words, or without trying to
quote
siphon
the language.
Yeah, quote the language or siphon something. She said it as it is, and that is one virtue parents should emulate. Don't say my child is too young to do this, or don't teach my pikin bar fashion, or if I tell my pikin this thing na bar fashion, you go the practice. No, when you teach your child, children are when children are too young, they grasp things easily. And I would say preventive education is very important. If you yes, you as a parent, you can train your child to protect his or herself, but if you don't train your child to protect his or herself, then she will be like he or she will be a bait to the predators out there. So it's very important to always teach your children about the sensitive issues that concern social life.
Thank you very much, Otop, for highlighting that lack of communication skills. And I'll just add that, which is something which some parents, I wouldn't blame them per se, but probably they lack the communication skill. For example, when a teenage girl just has her flow, the first thing her mother will tell her, instead of explaining to her what is happening, it would like, okay, you're now a woman. If a man touches you, you get pregnant. And you see her everywhere running away from any man. Whereas if you sat her down and explained to her that, and some of them even get scared or paranoid once they see the period, they're like, okay, probably I have a wound somewhere. And they even get sick because there is a trauma. I think that if you have these teenagers, there's no age to start. Children of nowadays are quite inquisitive. They ask a lot of questions. And I know sometimes we are careful not to give them too much information, but once you have a child that keeps asking 1, 2, 3 particular questions, I think you should discern and be able to give the person a bit of information. Okay, you're asking about this is this, but I think that when you grow older, remind me, I'm going to give you more details about this. Once you've satisfied that child's curiosity at that moment, the child would always have that confidence that I can run back to this person. But if you push the child away, you don't know who the child is going to meet out there and what the person is going to teach the child. So I think that parents, in terms of the communication skills, we should be able to discuss with these children with their words. And I think that when Otop was talking about call it as it is, it's not that we're not going to be talking about. I think that making the child understand his or her physical features and also telling them how to protect themselves is quite important. It's still part of the education which parents need to do, because if we fail to do this, I think that the consequences are bound. It is important. Preventive education, as Otop did say, is best, because you already feed the child with this information. Once he or she encounters something different from what you have told him or her, he will rush to you quickly and you'll be able to arrest the situation. In the absence of that, the child will just take from outside. It's worse. It's better to educate your child than to allow society to educate your child. So I'll continue with you, Mabel. What are some of the difficulties? What are some of the things that make parents to shy away from engaging in these conversations?
Okay, thank you. Some parents feel that they will be they will be exposing the children to information that they are not yet supposed to have. But like you clearly said it, let us bear in mind that the world is already informing them. The media is informing them. These children have access to the internet. They have access to everything now. They grow in an information world in which you and I didn't grow in that kind of world. So the earlier we consider giving them the right information, the better for us, because they will get this information and they will get it the way they will get it. So it's important we give them the information and maybe let them know this is what other people think about it. This is how the world sees it. But the right thing to do is this. And so some people face difficulties because they don't want to expose the children to certain informations. But today, let's understand that these children have access to those information. Okay, another difficulty parents face is thinking that, in fact, it's from our culture, cultural norms, cultural belief systems, and values. Maybe in the culture or your society where you come from, it's not very talked of to hear a father sit and discuss, or a mother sit and discuss with the children on these issues we have raised, financial issues, sexual reproductive health, and then you think that it is not accepted for you to do it. We are still bringing it to you this day. This world of today is different, and so the culture that these children are exposed to is different. So we have to also follow the trends and make sure that we fit in, and our place should still be there. If not, another person, the media, might replace us in their lives and they will get it the wrong way. So some face difficulties because of the cultural belief systems, the norms, the values, and every other thing that we have said here.
All right, thank you very much. Dear TV friend, if you're just tuning in, you're on to Women's Voice, and you can join the conversation via SMS or WhatsApp, or sharing your thoughts with us via SMS or WhatsApp on the numbers which you find on your screens. Now, we are taking the conversation to another level. We want to find out how important, I think in the course of the conversation we've talked about how important are these conversations, or how important these conversations are. We've also mentioned that these also help, one, about discussing the financial situation, help these children to be able to understand the limits of their parents, and also help them learn some financial skills. Now, let us talk about, for example, relationships. How important, why is it important for parents to discuss with their teenagers or adolescents about relationships, be it in terms of opposite sex, particularly because these are the most disturbing areas. About why is it important? Why do you think it is important for parents to have these conversations with these teenagers? Okay, Rita, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it is important because it helps these children to prevent them from unwanted pregnancy, especially the girls.
Okay.
Yeah, it is very important because once a child has known exactly how relationship is all about, how you can go through it, how you can interact with the opposite sex, so you will be cautious to yourself. You will know how to take care of yourself. So unwanted pregnancy will not be the STDs also is another consequence of that, because if they understand what is it all about, they will prevent all those assault, the STDs or raping. So, and the school drop out once the child is already pregnant. Yeah, it also makes them to be like, oh, you cannot go to school with the pregnancy, so your education now will be shattered. So you will end up staying in the house, taking care of the baby, and maybe at the end of the day or at the end of the year, your parents will not feel again or feel the mood again to send you back to school. So you find yourself now roaming around, or you stop your education, you stop your career. There will be no way for you. So it is important for us to really explain or tell our girls or our boys, children about this, so that you should not involve yourself in some consequence issues that may bring you a disaster or bring a problem for your career.
All right, thank you very much. Not having these conversations actually expose the children to more risks, which has devastating consequences on them. And one of which which she highlighted is about these relationships. Remember that these children, they are getting to an adolescent or they're teenagers, their body is changing, hormones are changing, emotions are changing. It is important that at this stage we're able to help them coordinate their emotions, because sometimes Counselor Mabel, you also, I think you're going to throw more light. I think that sometimes they cannot help these hormones, so it is left on these parents to be able to guide them. At some stage they might see, okay, they are attracted or feel comfortable around so and so person, and if they do not have the appropriate knowledge, probably I think that these children get exposed and they go the other way around. Had it been they had this understanding, or either they were guided on how to handle themselves or treat their emotions, probably they will go about it the right way. Am I in line with that?
No, Joy, I think you're speaking the truth, and something came to my mind. I've overheard a parent say, "You be dog, yeah." You be dog, because so you just there on a dog, no nothing. And now I'm coming with a different approach, like making this child understand that these things are normal. They're basic needs. Just like maybe you might be thirsty for water. There's somebody, Abraham Maslow, who said that these are basic needs. And you see sex falls under it. You might be thirsty to drink water, thirsty for food, but now it is basic, and it means your body will ask for it, and the children are like, "Hey, Auntie Mabel." I say, yes, it's true. Your body will ask for it. You have said it. And now the issue is the fact that he asked for it doesn't mean you just go around and do anyhow. They say no. I say, okay, have you been thirsty before and you don't have access to water? Have you ever been hungry and you get delicious meal coming out from a restaurant? You just go there and eat because you're hungry. At least it is certain that you're hungry, but you control your hunger. Till when you can afford something to eat. And so if these children are made to understand that some of these things do happen, you could say them to the children. You could refer some through to some other person, let the person help you with it. But it's very important, because when we don't do this and their bodies start asking for it, and then they start having those feelings, they start having those emotions, they will go any length to get it satisfied. So it's important that we consider talking to our children about these sensitive topics that we are calling on today. About money, Otto brought that one, and it's also very important, because the day they will see 100,000, they'll say, "Hey, Adaye, I have never seen this kind of amount." From time to time, when you have that kind of money, 20,000, 30,000, just give your daughter, "Hold it, I'm coming, maybe just for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, take this to my back." Do just that alone, you're exposing them to it, and you're making them feel that no, it's not just to tie it and put in your wrapper every day. They should not even know that there's 10 francs in this house. They should not. Maybe we change the narrative, because the repercussions are so many. This brings tension in the family. You see the relationship between you and your children become very tense, because the next minute you say, "You be dog, you want so you be thief man,
you over
waka." You are not attending to the needs of that child. That child has some emotional needs, and I just need somebody to say that it is normal. I have been there before. You say, okay. That means.
Yeah, and this is why you do. And this is where I see the role of Christian values coming in at this stage. I think that if we understand that it is normal biology, they are growing, puberty comes with its own challenges. I think it's also the right time, or towards when these children get into a certain age, you start instilling in them these Christian values. You talk to them about what the Bible says about these urges. We talk about what the Bible says about relationships. You talk about the teachings of the church. The church will never encourage sex before marriage. The church will never encourage all of those other, some of these social ills. So I think that it is also we might look at this as just biological factors, but what is the spirituality behind this? I think this is where we now come in as a church, and it's so important. One of the things which parents do not also discuss with their children is about spirituality. Yeah, it is spiritual. We leave it to the pastor, the priest in the church, but we don't come back. Very few come back and discuss with their children. How many parents sit with their children and talk to them and about the Bible, besides those general stories about the Bible says this? Generally, parents avoid topics that has to do adultery, fornication with their children, because they feel like these are topics that they cannot discuss. But I think it is important, once you have these adolescents, yes, they go to Bible schools, they go for doctrinal classes, but moral issues, which are moral related issues, find time to read it out with them in the Bible and explain to them what is the Bible saying about this. I think it's also going to help these children. Once these emotions come up, they already have a source they can hang on to. They reflect and might have this feeling and might have this urge, but this is not right, because the Bible says it's not pleasing in the eyes of God. Once you have your children already brought up that way, I think it is already a way which you can handle that. Otto Joseph, I'll leave you to continue with other. Let me not elaborate so much on this topic. Maybe you talk about other issues, how important, or why is it important for us to discuss these issues with these children?
Okay, I think I'll start by saying that the most important goal of a parent is to let their children know that I'm always available for discussion, or I'm always available for communication and all of that, because if you don't teach them at home, they might get the information outside and they will not get the proper information or the proper means through which they can go through maybe some sensitive issues that are related to them. It's very important as a parent to always have this conversation with your children, telling them the repercussions, that if you do this, this will happen and it will affect your picture. Now, moving back to this relationship issue, I can say that's one thing parents shy away from discussing with their children. Maybe with African mentality, thinking that some of these pressing or sensitive issues is taboo, or we are teaching our children bad fashion, as some of we parents we call it out there. It's not bad fashion. It's education. It's preventive education. You're teaching your child preventive education. So teaching your child about having a relationship is not bad, but teaching your child that premarital sex is not good.
What you do in the relationship is where the problem is.
Yeah, what you do in a relationship, like premarital sex, you might get pregnant at a very tender age and your future is shattered. You might have an STD at the end of the day, your future is shattered, or you might die early, or even if you don't die early, you live your entire life on drugs and all of that. So these are some of the repercussions that parents should tell their children as concerns a relationship. Tell them what to do and what not to do as concerns a relationship. Tell them if the guy doesn't want to wait, if the girl doesn't want to wait, let them go. It's very simple. That is what you should. That's what you should tell your children. If they don't want to persevere and stay, how do they call it, or stay away from sex, premarital, abstain from sex at that particular moment, tell them to tell that guy or that girl to go, because at the end of the day, they are not serious. They just want to tamper with your future and spoil your life. As a girl, if you get married at a tender age, and the guy you slept with refuse, you will not kill the guy. The guy can move on to get married to another woman, and at the end of the day, you are at the losing end. Your future is shattered. And take for example, most especially those who don't have maybe helpers or family members in which they can support them at that particular moment. It's very important for you to teach your children about all these issues. Know how they are doing it, what they are doing, where they are going, who they are associating with. And I'll still go back to the point that it's very important to make your children know that I am always available for discussion and communication.
Thank you very much, Otop. It just made me remind a famous slogan which we were taught as teenagers, especially when it comes to this topic. Sex can wait, but my future cannot wait. So if you cannot wait, I prioritize my future, so you're not good enough for me. Thank you very much, Otop Joseph. Now we're going to the real issues. We have identified the different topics. We have looked at how important it is, and we've also looked at the repercussions. Now, how can parents engage their teenagers in this conversation? I think this is the most interesting part which parents want to know. We all agree it is important. We know the consequence of not doing it. We know the importance of doing it, and also not do the risk of not doing it. But the question, the big challenge which they always have is, how do I get doing it? I'll begin with you, Councillor Mabel. How do parents start engaging on these different topics?
I think I'll come to the last thing that Otto said. Make sure that there's that rapport between you and your children. Let them know that you're always available for discussion. Yes, let them know that, okay, you can always come to me, let's talk about it. So when you build this trust relationship between you and your kids, you will find them telling you anything, or you will find them coming with some of these sensitive topics to you, and then you can decide to customize your conversation based on their interests. We're talking about teenagers here, so if you just come and let us talk, people should come and sit down, let's talk. We're having a meeting now. You've already built it. They'll build a fence. Like, what does mommy want to hear? Let me sit and see. Then they will not want to talk, and you might struggle, but if you customize it based on their own interest, you're coming from their point of view. Like, okay, maybe you could start from anywhere. For example, a child dresses and is passing, you just like, this your dress is nice. It's like, you like red, do you like green, or you like gown, short skirt, and they want you to shout. You are not saying that because you want to shout. You bring it from another angle based on their interest. They'll give you more information, and as you're getting the information from them, you're building that trust. The relationship is coming to a level when you eventually bring up your topic, they will still be able to give you information that not build any defense mechanism. Because the moment you say, come and let's talk, they'll start thinking, what have I done? They start looking for defensive ideas to give you, defensive reasons to give you. But you can come based on their interests, based on their values. I always see you watching this TV, this station or this series. What is it about?
What did you find interesting?
Yes. Mommy, just tell me. I want to know. I'm hardly. They'll leave them to explain it, and maybe you could start from there. Do they also do this other part, or do they show this part Is this so? In this movie, this doesn't happen. You're already into the child's court, and I think the child was already comfortable with this conversation. So you can do this from the child's interest. You can do it from their values.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Build that relationship. And like I did said at the beginning, that transparency is needed for dialogue. And how do you try to be transparent is about having this conversation. And conversation is not a monologue. It's an exchange of words and emotions with one goal to understand each other. So if you apply this way, if first of all a parent comes with a background that okay, we will exchange, which means one party at some point will be talking and the other party at some point will be listening, and then we'll share how I feel, how I think, how I say it. And I think it's learning. You can learn from your child can learn from you. If you start with that background, I think it's going to go a long way to have this conversation. I'll go with you, Ms. Rita. How do you think parents can engage with these sensitive topics?
Yeah, thank you once more again, Ms. Joy. I want to say that as a parent, we should not wait till that teenage age for our children before we start talking. We should be open from when they are small. Answer their several questions, because the children are always inquisitive to know, to learn. So if we are open to always answer their questions, answer their worries, listen to them and direct them on what they should do and what they should not do. And as they grow up, they'll always be used to know that at any moment, mommy is there ready to answer my question. Or at that time, the child too is also ready to know that each time the mommy asks a question or daddy asks a question, you should also give a response to it. So as they are growing up, they will be open to such things. They will not hide anything from you. As Madame Mabel just said, that when they are watching films, they will, at least you come there, you ask what is happening, they will be able to explain it to you. There are times when you come, since the relationship was not there, when they are watching film, you come and ask, what are people watching? What's the title? What are you? So at that moment, they'll just like, mommy, you are boring. Or mommy, it's not interesting. Mommy, it's not for you. So they will not be open to even tell you exactly what is going on. Because maybe they have a part there that they don't want you to reach, they don't want to know. Since they have always been keeping things from themselves, or you're not listening to them, it will be difficult for you to really interact with them. But from small, if you have started giving them that room to listen to them and to explain things to them, you will not have any problem as a parent to explain to your child when times come.
All right, thank you very much. Building that, I think it goes back about building already a foundation of a relationship with your children where you can discuss with them. And I think at this point, the parent has to be the very sober one and not the very hard one. Definitely, yeah, you have to be the very, very sober one. Maybe I'll just share my experience briefly before we continue, Joseph. As a teenager, I think I was in Form 5 when I had a male friend. We were not in the same school. We were not in the same system of education, and then we were friends. So I think my mom she was a type who was a bit strict. But when she got to know about it, I think she just called me in her room. For the first time, she asked me to lie on her bed. We were just relaxing. And then she asked me, who is this person? I said, he's a friend. She said, what kind of a friend? I said, okay, it's my boyfriend. She was like, she paused for some time. I know it was a shock.
The African mama.
Yes, she paused for some time and she was like, I don't think it's time for you to have a boyfriend because you have to go to school and you'll be a distraction. And she gave me a litany of reasons why she thinks it's not the right time and everything. And believe me, the next day I started avoiding the friend. And it wasn't, I could understand her. And each time I could, with that, it's because previously we had already built that relationship, even though she was strict, but there was always that avenue where we could have conversations. The first time I had my period, she was like, okay. When it happened, I was traumatized and I was even sick. She was, no, it's okay. She came, she helped me prepare myself. We went to the hospital. The doctors explained that, okay, mine came with fever. Some people come with that way. So she came back. She told me, you have to, she taught me how to use a pocket calendar. when to know when next it is coming, and also say, okay, a woman's cycle works this way. I think it's on the premise that she has started building that relationship that I was able to feel free to tell her. Some children, you will call them and ask them, they will not answer because you are not build that relationship, or because they are scared of your reaction. I'm just sharing this for parents too. There are different formulas you can take to bring your children. You might take them out on a date, you might take them out to the beach, you might take them out to the zoo. In the course of that, you create a relaxed atmosphere, and then you now discuss with your children. And sometimes I would advise parents should not force the conversation. Sometimes some children will not really open up. It will take them time to, it's their nature. You will have to really be observant and know what your child likes, what makes them relax. Then you start dropping those conversations with them and see how they open up. Otop Joseph will continue as to how parents can engage these conversations with their children.
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'll begin by saying that parenting is not a one-man something or a one-man job, because nowadays fathers always leave it for the mothers. If take for example, if a girl child gets pregnant maybe prematurely, the father will say, "Na ya pikino, na in that sit to do what you don't do." What were you doing as a father? You are a parent, so that's why I always say parenting, before you get into parenting, plan. It takes a lot of planning before you get into parenting. Don't just get into parenting, or don't just say you want to have a child because you see your peers having child and all of that. You are a father, you have a wife who is a mother, come together and you teach that child. Now, coming to the recommendations, I would say that parents should give a listening ear to their children, and give your children the opportunity to ask questions. Ask questions and give your children the opportunity to ask questions. Don't say, "I'm in charge here, I'm the father or I'm the mother."
You listen.
You listen.
It's a monologue.
It's a monologue. You say everything from A to Z, and your children are just sitting and listening. At the end of the day, they will not have anything to share with you. They will not have anything to open up. They will not open up as to what is going on in their lives at that particular moment, or what they are facing maybe in school or the society. So it's very important as parents to ask questions and also listen to their children. When I talk about asking questions, don't ask direct or leading questions. Like, for example, did someone touch your private part? No. As a parent, you need to be strategic when discussing with your children. Don't ask straight questions, because at that point they will build a defense mechanism and they will not give you the answer you think you know, or the answer you think you want. So it's very important to be strategic. Move slowly. Ask them step by step. Don't just go direct and ask them that, did this happen? Did this happen? Why did you not tell me as soon as you noticed it, or as soon as it happened, and all of that. As a parent, don't play that blame card or that guilty card on your child, because at the end of the day, that communication will not be there, that opening up will not be there. So as a parent, you need to be strategic. Know how, if you're having that conversation with your children, know how to go about it. Don't just ask direct questions. Like I said, that defense mechanism will be there, and they will not open up to tell you that this has happened and this has happened. And also, another recommendation is, before calling your children for a conversation, always try as much as possible to be well known about the topic you want to tell them about, or you want to discuss them with. Don't just wake up and say, you call your children and you start discussing and all of that. Reading through what you want to discuss about them, it might also give you an idea on how to go about the situation, what to say and what not to say at that particular time. And also, at a particular point, your child might not want to talk about it. Don't push it. Don't force your child to say something he or she doesn't want to say at that moment, or the child doesn't feel like saying it at that moment, because he will not say the truth. That's just a simple fact. He or she will not say the truth at that moment. So give your child time. If he or she does not want to discuss with you at that moment, and tell the child, okay, if you don't want to discuss about it now, then where you're satisfied, where you're comfortable, then you can come and discuss it with me. Don't push it. Don't force your child to say something, because he will lie or she will lie to you about that particular situation. So I think these are the various recommendations parents can take in order to have these conversations with their children.
All right, thank you very much, Otop Joseph. Elaborately, you've highlighted a lot of different methods which parents can take to engage this conversation. Cantelo Mabel, we're going to go with you. What other methods, again, I know you gave the first one, what other methods do you think parents can, how can parents engage their teenagers in such conversations?
Okay, let me address the issue of having a child who is not yet ready to discuss. Because now I know somebody will be asking, so what happens to that one who is not ready to talk? I have two daughters, one is like that. The first thing is, I was doing a sensitization and I wanted to upload some pictures online. So I'll call them to sit as we talk, I snap. She was not comfortable with me snapping her, although they were snapping from the back, her back, my face showing. And then she asked me one question. Mommy, what do you want to do with those pictures? I hope you don't want to put my picture online. And then it dawned on me that even as a counselor, I was supposed to seek for her consent before using it. So they cannot be as little as you think. She was not up to 13, she was just 11. And then she made sure that I don't put her pictures online. Am I going to put it without her consent? If I put it, will she beat me? No. But am I going to do it without her consent? I use that as an opportunity. So I'm talking to someone, you can seize opportunities. Madam Rita said, each time they ask questions, attend to their questions. I use that as an opportunity. I say, oh, sorry, I did not ask for your consent. First, I'm trying to apologize, teaching her that you can apologize. Then secondly, I'm like, you know this consent, I was supposed to ask for your consent for this. The same, like before somebody touches your body part, the person needs to ask for your consent. That was an opportunity for me. I just got into it. And then this, I started explaining. Before we got to somebody, anyone ever tried touching you without your consent? So you see, you can always use that opportunity, especially with such children, the ones who are easy going. You might use any method to get to them. But this kind of children, you seized an opportunity. That was her interest. She doesn't want anything without her consent. Okay. Secondly, what I do with her, and I see it working, is I go online, I search for films that is good, films that are within what I want her to know. For some, I could summarize it, but if it's clear to the end within her age and what I want her to know, I have a list of those films I've downloaded. I always recommend it to parents who have teenagers. So I send it to them. I make them watch it. And then she now knows that after she will finish watching this thing, mommy will ask her what I feel like. Then she builds another defense. I will not ask that day. I keep it. Another day, on any other day, when I hear her say something, I seize the opportunity from what she has said, either to the sister or to any other person. I say, wait though, you were watching a film the other day, as if I did not know. So that you can always have your way into them, but it must not be very, very structured. They will build a defense. For some of them, it's easy. For some, it's not like that. Then, Madam Joy, you mentioned something that also works perfectly well. For most people, I've seen it. For Christian homes, it's very easy at times. If you make it a routine, whether it's after every service, we discuss what we learn in church. After every mass or in the evenings, we do a discussion. And I always pick Bible icons. Pick a family. The other time, I did something that till today, it has brought a kind of family norm now. When somebody does something that is not good, you hear them ask, are you from the family of Noah or you are from the family of Lot? Because in the family of Noah, all the children obeyed and they were preserved. Okay, the other family, something happened. So you see, you just try all of this and see which one works best for your children. But then you need to at least invest in yourself. Think about it. Be intentional about it. You see this parenting thing. I think nobody went to school to be a good parent. So we learn every day and the world keeps changing. So we keep learning on how to meet up with the demands that we face every day.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. And just to add that, in cases where you have extremely difficult teenagers, definitely you should have someone or family member who is close, who gets along with the child. I think you can use that person to get to converse with the child. Before we go, I think we'll conclude with you, Mrs. Rita, on other approaches, or maybe one last message which you have for our viewers with regards to our topic.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Joy. The last message I want to give to us parents is that we should know exactly the atmosphere before asking or talking to our children. Yeah, they also have emotion. We should not like embarrass them in front of their friends, started asking them or started addressing certain issues to them. Yeah, we should look at a safe place, especially for those who are already into that age that they need to know. So we should look for a comfortable place and start explaining to them or telling them what exactly it is about themselves or what they are supposed to know. So we should that's what I just want to conclude, that as parents, we should know the right time and the safe place to talk to our children about this issue.
Thank you very much, Miss Rita. Thank you very much, Madam Mabel and Otop Joseph, for this contribution. Dear TV friend, we thank you for your keen attention. Unfortunately, we have to give way for other programs coming up next on DMR TV. If you did enjoy today's edition of the program, you can join us next week, same time, same channel, and we will be bringing you another edition of Women's Voice. From my end to yours is goodbye, stay blessed, and thank you for watching DMR TV.